All right, we are ending right now. That's perfect timing. I'm Deanna Morrow. I'm the National Account Manager for TCI. Thank you guys for joining us for this afternoon session. So just a couple of housekeeping things that we're going to go over. I have three of my colleagues with me today. I have Ginger, Sarah, and Loyal, and they are here to answer your questions in the Q&A and to monitor the chat. So if you have specific questions that you would like answered, they can pull those questions up, answer them, and then that gets logged in a document that everybody can see after the summit is over. And then as we ask you to respond to different information, or if there's just comments that you want to make about what you're seeing or things that are specific that you would like for me to demonstrate during the presentation, you're going to want to throw those into chat. The one thing that you want to make sure is that when you're in the chat, if you click on the drop-down box, it says hosts and panelists or to everyone. If you have a specific question for me or one of Ginger, Sarah, or Loyal, you want to go ahead and hit host and panelists, but we'd appreciate it if you would send your questions and comments to everybody in the chat. So also, if you want to do the closed captioning, you are welcome to do the closed captioning feature within your chat as well, so that you can. And I will try, I've been accused of being a fast talker, so I will try to slow things down. So I am from Tampa, Florida, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in just a couple minutes. I taught in Hillsborough County, Florida for 15 years before my full-time position with TCI. So what I would like for you to do is, if you'll pull out your phones, I'll give everybody a few seconds. You're going to need your phones, and then pull open your cameras. And I'm going to do this with you so that I can see how long it takes. Now my phone was sitting right next to me. And then if you'll scan that QR code, it's going to take you to my Mentimeter, and it's going to ask you where you teach. And if you want to blow up the map to get a little bit more specific, you can put your dot where you teach. And I know we just asked you that in the chat, but some of them went by so fast. And then hit submit. The other thing you can do is, if you don't have a cell phone and you want to open another tab, you can type in menti.com and plug in code 42841624, and that's on the screen twice for you. So it's on the screen that I'm demonstrating. And because Ginger is so amazing, you can click the link in chat to get there. So while you're doing that, I'm going to look at this. You guys are way ahead of me. Here I am in Mentimeter Live. I see, so we are literally spanning closest to farthest. I love it. I think they say from sea to shining sea is what I'm looking at. This is such a great representation. And I'm so proud to say that I have been everywhere that you guys are clicking is someplace that I've either presented or helped one of my colleagues present in my tenure in TCI. So what that shows is that even though we are far apart in distance, we are close at heart and being passionate about social studies. So yes, that is me. I'm sappy like that. But yeah, I'm super excited. Thank you guys sincerely for coming into the session. And I'm going to ask you a few other questions, which might seem redundant, but it's really going to help me. It's going to be like a choose your own adventure based on what information you guys give me will dictate which pathway I go down in my demonstrations. So in just a few minutes, you're going to keep your phone near you, because I think I have like 4 or 5 different Mentimeters that I'm going to ask you to participate in. And again, that just kind of gives me an idea. If I know that, you know, everybody is from Florida, then I can focus on that. Or if everybody was from California, I could talk about things that are specific to California. But I'm really, really excited that we have so many people from across the country. So the next thing I'd like to know is, and I need to actually forward this on, oh, nope, we're not ready for that yet. So don't do that. And I'm going to go back to my slide presentation, which has been working all day, but it's not working right now. There we go. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about 4 of our high school programs: History Alive, World Connections, History Alive, Pursuing American Ideals, Government Alive, Power, Politics, and You, and Econ Alive, The Power to Choose. Now, reading in the chat as you guys were entering in the room, I noticed that there were several people who said World History or Pursuing American Ideals. I saw a couple Econ and a few Government. I'm going to hit each content area, and I'll let you know what program it's coming from. But the one thing I want to demonstrate for you is that no matter which program you use in TCI, the platform is so consistent for you and your students. It's just easy to use. Any feature that I demonstrate today, it's going to be available in any of the 4 content. So if you're using all 4, that's great. If you're using just the Government Alive, that's fine. The feature will be in all 4 programs. So what I'm going to cover with you in the next like hour and 10 minutes or so is we're going to navigate TCI. Then I'm going to demonstrate how you can teach with TCI. Then we're going to talk about assigning, assessing, grading with TCI. And at the end, we're going to get you logged into the in-app self-paced professional development where you can get certificates and badges and really dive into the components and features of your programs. So if you were to ask any of the teachers, there are hundreds of thousands of teachers and millions of students that are using TCI in their classrooms right now. And if you were to ask any of them what they know about TCI or what's the one thing about TCI that's really special, and they're going to talk about engagement, actively getting students engaged with social studies content. And that's TCI's #1 company goal. But we want you to know that we support you in so many other ways. And that's going to include being standard based. So your state standards are going to be covered. The bedrock of TCI are going to be primary sources. So I would actually challenge you, if I knew the answer, but I would challenge you to keep tabs of how many primary sources I present to you today in my time with you this afternoon, or just the variety of types of primary sources. And it's a significant number. One day I'm going to go through and count it myself so that I could actually challenge the teachers to see how close they get. But the bedrock of TCI is going to be supported with primary sources. We have a brand new video activity. So if you're familiar with TCI, this is something that's going to be brand new to you this year. The variety of assessment options in both formative and summative variety that you can pick and choose from to give you the options. We have inquiry projects that are open every unit, and I'm excited to share those with you to get students actively thinking about what it is that they want to learn about, kind of going back to Adam Welcome's message about, asking kids to do more than just recall, but think about what it is you want to learn about, and then researching that and how TCI supports teachers and students as we walk you through those inquiry projects and then provide you with credible sources to pull information from to support those inquiry projects. And support. We know that the teachers that are here today giving up a summer day to come to a summer summit to learn about their social studies curriculum are dedicated social studies teachers. And we also know that there are going to be teachers that may have been substitute teachers last year or just finished being a pre-teacher. And they're going to be walking into the classroom for the first time this August or September. And we want to make sure that those teachers know that they can use every aspect of TCI. And if you're a teacher, and we're going to talk about this in a second, that's been teaching for 20 or 30 years, that has a career gleaning knowledge and what you can pull out of TCI for the options that we offer to meet your needs and your students' needs, because we know the kids that we were teaching 5 years ago are not the same kids that are sitting in our classrooms today. And the teachers that were teaching 5 years ago, what you're being asked to do and the demands on your time are so different. So we want to provide you the support and resources so that we give you back your nights and weekends, so that you continue to love teaching. So we want to make sure that we're setting all teachers and all students up for success, and whether that's through our digital platform and resources and features to allow students to access the text, and I'm going to go through all of these, or if it's providing you with the benchmarks and support you need there, integrating with your learning management and single sign-on systems, within your district or providing you with lesson options and assessment options. We want to make sure that there is something for every one of you. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you about what's available when you purchase TCI. So some of your districts might be reviewing TCI and some of your districts may have just recently purchased it. Others of you, your districts may have purchased it last year and you just enjoyed the summit so much and get so much out of it, you're joining us again this year. So when you purchase TCI, in every district's different, but there is a print student edition in every program. You're going to get, this is a brand new feature, reproducible notebook pages. You're going to have a print teacher guide. You're going to have cardstock laminated placards that are primary source manipulatives that the students use in a variety of different activities. And we tell you exactly when and how to use those within our lessons. And then of course, you're going to have your online platform for both the teacher and the students. So we do want to let you know that it's available in English and Spanish. So if you're doing a dual immersion classroom, you do have the capability of translating it into Spanish. And we'll talk about translations in a little while as well. So those are all of the components that come with TCI. We do not create anything superfluous or anything that's going to distract you from actually teaching the content that your standards and benchmarks require of you. There is enough for us to teach that we're not throwing a bunch of stuff at you just to kind of like, oh, squirrel, like, oh, there's this booklet and there's that booklet and there's all sorts of other things. You know, we give you what you need to be a successful teacher. We want to make it easy to use because if it's easy to use, then you'll use it. So we want to make sure that we engage all learners. As I mentioned, that's TCI's #1 company goal, engage all learners with social studies content. So now what I'd like for you to do is, I think I already changed the slide on Mentimeter, but if you need to rescan that code, if you closed it, I'd like for you to tell me how well you know TCI. If you're brand new to TCI, if maybe you used it because you were a pilot teacher, or maybe you've used it previously in previous years, or maybe you've been using it for years and years, like Loyal. Well, actually, Loyal is probably the next one. I should have your job. So if you should have my job, then you would click that. I'm not looking for a replacement. I'm just setting the stage for maybe if I win that big lottery that's out there right now. So it looks like Loyal put 1. No, I don't know if that was Loyal or not, but I'm excited. If that was you, I'd love for you to chime in. So that's great. I've got some newer teachers here at the beginning, kind of in that, I'm looking almost like a bell curve, like they taught us in school. 17, 28. So we have about 39 people in the session. Now, remember, if you don't have your cell phone to do this, was it you, Loyal? You're hilarious. If you want to click the link that Ginger shared that's in the chat, or go to Menti and type in menti.com and type in the code 42841624. That will allow you to answer the questions. I also put, I should have my job, just to give you guys confidence in me. I'm just kidding. I mean, that's one of the reasons, but I like my job and I'm skilled at it. So I'm feeling good about it. All right, so I'm going to give you guys about another 30 seconds. So for those of you who have been using it for years, you're going to see, I'm going to share with you some brand new features. They literally just came out this summer. I think you're going to be extremely excited about them. And why I'm so proud about some of these changes is because we just always are listening to teachers. If you're using our program and you want to see something developed, or you see a feature that you think would be really amazing that would enhance our programs, I highly recommend that you send it in to us so that we can create it and develop it, because we want to make this program not only easy for you to use, but we want to make it fun. Okay, so we have a pretty good scan here. So if you're brand new, I'm going to invite you. I'm going to end the meeting probably about 5 or 10 minutes early is my goal. And I'm a social studies teacher. So if you give me an hour and 20 minutes, that means I'm going to talk for an hour and 30. But I'm really going to try to keep it to an hour and 10 minutes. But if you are brand new, or if you just have specific questions and you want to stay in the meeting after it's over, I will stay on and answer any questions that you have, or you can throw them into the chat. AI is coming, but I don't know if it could replace a teacher just because we're empathetic. But we will see. All right, so now that I know where you guys are at, I know which adventure I am going to choose. So we're going to talk about navigating the TCI resources. So one of the brand new features that you're going to find specifically in Pursuing American Ideals and has existed in some of our other programs last year is going to be our unit resources and our unit resource page. So what you'll see is when you log into a unit, you'll see that you have unit projects, which will include a unit introductory video and an inquiry project. The inquiry project is introduced at the beginning of the unit and at the end, and I'll explain why. You'll see robust learning libraries, an introductory video, and multiple lessons per unit. In this particular unit in Economics Alive, the unit is how markets work, and the compelling question is that the students are going to learn about market structures and how they affect a country's economy. So you can see this as the unit, and you'll also, when I talk about the purple sidebar, I'm talking about this purple sidebar here. So if ever I mention that later on in the presentation, just know that I'm talking about that you have this purple sidebar to navigate. So when your students walk into your classroom and you're starting a new unit, whether that's the first unit in the school year or throughout the year, and if it's a semester course like Econ Alive or Government Alive, no matter what you're teaching, you would play, and it's only 1 minute and 17 seconds long. But what I want you to listen to here, and what I ask my students to listen to, is one, is you're going to be given a role. Two, we're going to ask you to do a task throughout the unit. And three, you're going to get some content information that's going to be applicable in every single lesson that you're going to be learning in the chapter. So normally I play this for my students twice. Again, it's like 1 minute and 17 seconds long. But for you guys, I want you to look at and see if you can identify those three things: what your role is, what your task is, and then what is the content information you would use in the chapters that are found in this unit. And I'm going to play the video.
A well-respected business and financial news site is producing a special series of articles on economic competition. The site's editors have invited several journalists, including you, to write an article for this series. You want to write about perfect competition. Economists consider perfect competition to be the most efficient market structure in terms of allocating resources. It is relatively rare and exists only in certain industries, such as agriculture. But what if it were more widespread? You decide to examine what would happen if perfect competition replaced a monopoly or oligopoly. Could an industry dominated by one firm or a few firms succeed with perfect competition? In this unit, you will learn about different types of market structures. At the unit's end, you will select and research an industry with a monopoly or oligopoly. You will then consider how perfect competition would affect this market and write an article indicating whether perfect competition would improve this market. By doing this, you will help answer the question, do markets always benefit from perfect competition?
And just so you know, this is Unit 2, so the students would have learned some content before they get into Unit 2. But you can see you guys had a role. It explained to you some content information. It talked about perfect competition. It told you that you're going to select an industry that has either a monopoly or oligopoly. And then you're going to write an article that is going to explain whether an industry that you've decided to research would benefit from that perfect competition. So we're outlining from the very beginning what the students are going to do throughout that whole unit. Now I will say this about inquiry projects. So there are certain places in our country where inquiry projects are written specifically into your frameworks and benchmarks, like say, for example, Kansas. So this is perfect, for Kansas, because this way they can, prepare their students for their end of the year course exam, which is going to have an inquiry piece. If you're in a district or state that is not required to teach inquiry projects. You can pick and choose. I don't want you to think that, oh, I have to, this one more thing I have to do. What it does is it just really nicely sets up a unit structure for your students, but you can just pick one inquiry project. You don't have to do them all. And so you'll have some written text, both digitally and print, that again takes the students through like what the inquiry project is going to be about, introduces them to their economic question: do industries always benefit from perfect competition? And then sets them up for their inquiry process that's also supported with the interactive student notebook pages. So it allows the students to write those questions of things that they want to learn about. Then they can find answers within a variety of sources. And there are so many sources that are found built right in to the TCI platform that you don't have to do outside research. Now, can you? Absolutely. Is it a great exercise and skill for your students to learn how to do that? Absolutely, without a doubt. But we don't want you to feel like you have to go out and find these sources. We put them at the point of use. So you would have your advantages and disadvantages, and then we even provide the students and the teachers with rubrics and then guides to the grading the rubrics in your teacher guides. So completely supported inquiry project for both the teachers and the students. As mentioned, because this is economics, there are only 7 units because it's a semester-long course. We build it that way on purpose so that you can teach it all, macro, micro, embedded right in. So you can see that in this program, there are going to be 7 inquiry projects. You pick and choose the ones that you want to do, or you can do all of them. So now what I want to know is, how long have you been a teacher? So you can't answer that question yet because I need to forward my slide here. So if you want to scan the QR code here or go to menti.com and type in 42841624. Thank you, Ginger, for adding the link. And then we'll see where you guys are at. I'm going to leave the QR code up just another second. Okay. Okay. So good. So we're kind of, again, across the board, a couple of old timers like me. And I can say that because I actually am plus 30. So, and I shouldn't say old timers, maybe just really experienced, because I still feel very young. Well seasoned. Yes, Scott. Thank you. I am well seasoned. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So again, this helps me choose my adventure. And so when at the beginning I was saying, you know, that if you are a seasoned teacher and you've spent a career gleaning, dragging your families, or, you know, providing them the opportunity to go to battle sites and museums and do Colonial Williamsburg, you're going to have gathered so much information and so many resources. And TCI would never say like, hey, you know, all that stuff that's working for you, throw that out because now you have TCI. We would never, ever, 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 ever say that. But what we are saying is maybe we have a resource that you haven't discovered yet, or maybe you like your nights and weekends and want to spend them with your friends and family, and you don't want to have to go out and find these resources. So we're going to provide them for you. If you're newer to the career, and you may be, you know, somebody that came to the career later, or maybe you're, you know, like I once was, a 22-year-old social studies teacher, eager to teach the world, the future leaders of America in our social studies classrooms. Again, we just want to provide you with resources so that you can pick and choose what works for you, your style, your students' needs. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be options that you can pick and choose. And I want you to think about, as I'm going through, how you could use those with students you may have taught last year. If this is your first fall, if you are the one sole first year teacher coming in this year, how you would use the resources that I'm about to share with you. So we're going to now go from the unit inquiry project and the unit opener into one of the lessons. So TCI's lesson structure is going to have three options, or three steps. So the first step is going to be one of 4 flexible options. You can choose more than one per class. You can choose a different one for each class, a different one for each chapter. You could choose one for every class, every year. So you just have tons of lesson flexibility here. The second part of the lesson structure is going to be the dive deeper, which is going to deepen the student's understanding, and one of the places where you can pull more resources to help with inquiry projects, and they're different for every chapter. And then the third part of our lesson structure is going to be your assessments. And so I'm going to demonstrate both your formative and your summative assessments and what you can do with that information. So we're going to dive in and we're going to look at the 4 flexible options. So the first one we're going to talk about are reading activities that are supported 100% by the interactive student notebook, pages, and questions. And so I'm going to talk about what that means. Our second one are our hands-on classroom activities that are supported with a 100% customizable slide deck presentation. So we give you the slide deck, you can use ours or you can edit it again for your students and your community. The third lesson option are going to be your lesson outlines, which is going to give the students the testable information, but still allow them to access the text and the notebook pages, and we'll get into that. And then the brand new, these are just so hot off the presses. I'm super excited for you. And we're actually still building some of these for some of the chapters within some of the programs. So if you go to a specific chapter and you don't see a video activity, that's okay, you will. So I'm going to demonstrate, we're going to go live into the TCI license to show you your video activity. So let's first talk about reading. Now, we completely understand teachers know how to pass out a book and have them answer questions, but that's not what TCI is about. And so what we want to do is we want kids to be engaged with social studies content. So if you were just to read our textbook, if you're just the teacher, if you know a teacher down the hallway that just passes out the textbook, even if they were just reading the TCI textbook, they're going to get more content knowledge out of our student edition than any other student edition, because we write it with considerate text, meaning that it has a proper amount of white space. It's going to have a spread is going to start and end on the same page. It's going to have a clear chapter heading and subheadings. The vocabulary is introduced at the beginning. It's going to have the right size font for the right grade level. So you're going to see all of that. You'll also see that online, what you'll have is you'll be able to change the Lexile level from on level. So it's going to be written at the high school Lexile level to a level B, which is 25% lower in some cases, which would even take it into the middle school grade level. So all students can access that text, but then maybe you need the text read to the students to have them access it even further, or clicking on the main idea button that pulls out 75% of the testable information. So in just those 3 features, you have lowered the text so that all students can access that content. You can add notes either for the teacher or the students can add their own notes. And then we talked about earlier that Spanish translation. The difference between the TCI translation and any other publisher's translations is that once you click the Spanish button, the whole program translates. So we're talking your note cards, your lesson games, your video activities, the student text pages, the assessment questions, everything translates with one click. anything else, you have to go to the next page and you have to translate again. Then you click to the next section, you translate again. So you're translating every other click, and that's just cumbersome. So if you're doing a dual language Spanish classroom, you can do one click and you can turn that on and off per student or per class. So you have the autonomy as the teacher to see how that's going to work with your students. The other thing that I want to let you know, and this is a question I often get, is can it translate into other languages? And the answer is yes. With Google Translate, it will translate into over 133 languages. And so that is effective on the text pages, and it's going to be extremely accurate on the text pages. When you start getting into some of the other features like the vocab cards, well, not so much the vocab card, maybe the lesson games, it's not going to be as accurate as it is with the student text, but you're still allowing those students to access that social studies content. So that's going to be our reading activity, supported 100% by the interactive student notebook, which will have your essential question in this lesson. This is courses in conduct of World War I. This is from our world history lesson. Nope, that's not true. This is actually from our Pursuing American Ideals program, US history. And then the essential question is, how was World War I different from previous wars? You see the vocabularies introduced at the beginning. The preview activity is the students will be listening to 2 different songs written during World War I, and they're going to compare the mood of the songs and what messages were trying to be conveyed in those songs. Then it's going to tell the students how they're going to set up and take notes in graphically organized manner throughout each section of the text. And then there's a processing assignment, which is one of our formative assessments. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a few minutes. Next, we would talk about our classroom activity slideshow. In this classroom activity slideshow, this is a world history lesson. In this lesson, all of our hands-on activities are supported by a slide deck that walk you and the students through the entire hands-on activity. So in this activity, the students are going to portray the role of an American journalist and that they've been invited to an international fascist art exhibition in 1939. But in reality, they are spies. And what they're going to do is they're going to learn about fascist and totalitarian states in Europe between World War I and World War II. And then they're going to write a newspaper article explaining why there was a rise in fascist and totalitarian governments during that time frame. The students, this is one of the slide decks. This tells the students exactly what they're going to do. There are placards that you get, and we mentioned that at the beginning, the cardstock primary source manipulatives. On the placard, there's artwork, there's information about the government and what the artwork, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, information about the poster. And then they're going to fill in a graphic organizer. So they have to identify the country where it was created, 2 elements of fascist and totalitarian art that they see in the piece of art. And then they have to explain the message that the poster is trying to convey. They also find out secret information that they're supposed to share with their classmates. Before. So as they begin their gallery walk to look at all of the 5 pieces of artwork, there's also an audio speech from Mussolini that's playing in the background. So there's actually 6 pieces of art that the students are examining. And what they're looking for is to identify the elements of fascist or totalitarian art, which includes a single all-powerful leader, that war and military, strength of the people, patriotic or nationalistic messaging, utopian or ideal society, and representative art. So they look at this artwork, they fill in their graphic organizer, and then once their graphic organizer is completed, they share out. They're assigned one of the pieces of artwork, and then they have to talk about how it represents the rise of fascism and what the secret message from the poster was. So in this hands-on activity, the students are pretending to be writers, but they're really spies. At the end, the processing assignment, the students will complete a writing assignment as the processing formative assessment. Now, sometimes I'll hear like, hey, Deanna, I love the hands-on activity, but I just I don't have time to have the kids outline the chapter or to get through the reading section. And so what I say is you can do the hands-on activity and then you can assign the lesson outline. And this gives the students the testable information. And then there's live links that they can go into their interactive student notebook, they can complete the notes, and then that's another formative assessment that demonstrates that the students have the testable information and that they've gone through the chapter. So there's absolutely no reason that you can't choose 2 lesson options. My 4th lesson option is the brand new video activities. And this is going to be from Government Alive. I'm going to spend a few minutes in this video activity so that I can set it up for you. In the video activity, so that's super interesting, but that's okay. In the video activity, the students are going to, again, be given a role. So you're going to watch an introductory video. It's going to give them some content information. It's going to give the students a role of what they're going to do. This is designed for the students to be self-directed. So you can assign this to the students at any time as the lesson, for substitute day, for non-student contact day, for remediation. There are a million uses for the video activities. And I'm going to talk about some of the greatest features after we've gone through it. So here, what the students are going to do is they're going to watch a series of videos to learn how political campaigns use public opinion in the media to advance their goals. And then they're going to identify the forces that help shape public opinion. Then they're going to show what they've learned by correctly organizing terms that are linked to public opinion in the media. So we're going to go ahead and go live into my Government Alive program. Here you can see my purple sidebar where I'm navigating. You can see I'm in my lesson overview VIP page because it shows that on the purple sidebar and at the top. It has all of my planning features here, including my differentiation or my pacing options and enhancing learning that I can click into. It shows you my 4 lesson options. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the video activity. And then from here, I'm live, and the students would be assigned this and they would just click through. So we're going to just watch a couple of seconds. Well, actually, I'm going to watch
Congratulations! You have just been hired as a political intern for a presidential campaign. You are joining the media and communications team to help get your candidate elected. Your team will be creating political advertisements for your candidate. You have been asked to research strategies used in broadcast media by successful political campaigns of the past in order to shape public opinion. Broadcast media refers to communication methods such as radio and television, as well as any other materials supplied by the media and press. You will need to become very familiar with key terms.
So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this because this is giving background information, but just as I'm scrolling through, you can see the variety of primary sources that are built in here. And then
essential part of campaigning for votes. It is time to begin your research. You will be examining the campaign strategies used by each U.S. president's media and communications team since the 1952 election. Think about which strategies you believe to be the most effective in the presidential elections as you form answers to the question, to what extent does the media influence political views? Let's begin.
So to what extent does the public influence media views? I just went over what the overview is. So the very first thing that the students have to learn about is about this political socialization, and that there are 6 political socialization, political views that change over your lifetime. This is in the written text, it's in the online text, but we have it here also built in. So you can see, you know, peer groups are effective as teenagers, and then in young adults, it's gender and ethnicity, and news media is mature adults, and toddler and young adults. So it goes through all of the politicalization. So that's important because in the next series, we're going to watch a series of primary sources. I'm going to let you know before I actually, so don't answer the question, but I want to go to my, I don't know if it'll slide from here. Give me just a second. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide on my Mentimeter. and we're going to answer this question, which factors of political socialization is most relevant in this clip? I also want to let you know that this is a live link that would take us to the reading. So if the students wanted to review the reading or to do the reading and then watch the political advertisement created in 1952 by Dwight D. Eisenhower's campaign team, and then we're going to answer the question, which factors of political socialization is most relevant in the clip. So let's go ahead and watch this video. Some of you might be
we are going, travel day and night for president. Let Adelaide go the other way. We'll all go with Ike. You like Ike, I like Ike. Everybody likes Ike for president. Hang out the banner, beat the drum. We'll take Ike to Washington. We'll take Ike to Washington.
Now is the time for all good Americans to come to the aid of their country.
Okay, so on your Mentimeter, if you go to the next screen or if you click the link, you can hit refresh and it should take you to you should see the television. Which factor of political socialization do you think is most relevant in this clip? Is it family, gender and ethnicity, mass media, peer groups, religion, or school? And then again, Ginger just put the link in chat, so you can click that as well to get there. And I think just the way that I'm presenting this, it's not allowing me to do my 2-finger cool slide thing. So we're just going to go here. So we see some answers: family, gender, ethnicity, mass media, peer groups. Excuse me. Okay, so we have almost everybody, about 2/3. So let's see. So the cool thing about, and this is what one of the things I definitely wanted to mention was, the cool thing about, one of the many cool things about the video activity is that when you answer the question, it's going to give the students immediate feedback. It's automatically graded. And then that data is given to the teachers, and you can get trends to see how students are doing. You can see what they've answered, how they've answered it. So the majority of our class said that it was peer group. So if we choose group D, it's going to tell us you have earned a point. Now, if we had answered it incorrectly, we'll do that on the next slide. So that's just one. The next one is a speech by Senator Kennedy. It's like a hometown meeting. And let's say it's school, and I know that it's not. So let's say if that's school, it'll say it's incorrect. Please try again. And let's say that it's mass media. It says, no, it's actually religion. So it gives the students an opportunity to earn half credit, and then they get 0 credit for this. Now on the teacher license, it's going to have the answer key for us, but for the students, they're not going to be able to see the answer key. So I just want to run through the rest of this presentation just so that you can kind of see how it is set up and how we kind of change things. So the next advertisement is President Nixon. That they would watch and listen to. This clip here is from 1980, Jimmy Carter's president. He's walking out on stage with his family to get ready for a campaign speech, and I think he actually starts the speech. This one here is Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter in a debate, a national debate. And then you have President Trump, former President Trump, giving, I believe this is a press conference. And then the students can read section 2, then they're going to learn about polls. Then they would answer some questions about polls and go through. So for each section, then they have a series of true and false questions about different polls. Then they begin their research, and they're going to find out about new media. They would read section 3 and learn about new media. And they would go through and they would listen to each of these primary sources and then talk about communication. The students would then learn about how candidates use persuasive techniques like name calling or glittering generalities or plain folk or card stacking to help persuade the American public in terms of persuading them to vote for them. So again, you would go through and you would look at some primary sources. You would the persuasive techniques come up on every slide. So if the students forget what the persuasive techniques were that they learned about, and they would go through and they would submit. At the end of the activity, we would do each of the different candidates. At the end, the students would drag and drop. So again, this is the wrap up. I'm just demonstrating the variety of different multimedia that the team has put together. I've gotten them wrong, so I would have to redo it. And so this is persuasive technique. And then they would get a second opportunity, which I don't think that is right either. And then 2 of those are wrong. So it grades it for the kids. And then at the end, it would take them to the summative, informative assignments, which is the final step in the lesson cycle. But before we go there, I want to go back and I want to talk about the step 2 in our lesson structure. So step 2 is an opportunity for students to dive deeper into the content, and we provide literature, primary sources, explore, personal connections. There are a variety of different, this is an example of an explore on pandemics in World War I, how the flu influenced trench warfare. So the students would read about this and they would add to their inquiry projects. Then there is a, then you would get into the assessments. There are 4 assessment options. Now, one assessment option here is checks for understanding, and I think I demonstrated that with vocabulary a few minutes ago. But these are for the students at the end of the section or in the summary that allow them to do self-assessment. So these are not assigned, they're not graded, they're truly to determine the students for themselves. Like, do I understand the content that I just read about or that I just learned about before they do something that is graded for the teacher? And then what's graded for the teacher is either their processing, and I'm sure I'm talking over my slides, but either their processing assignment, which is a product-based formative assessment where the teacher has to grade it, and the students demonstrate in the product whether they understand the concepts and content you taught them during the lesson. There are lesson games in the variety of, there's tons of different ones, but there's content lesson games, and then there's vocabulary lesson games. And then you have, of course, your summative assessments, which are customizable. There are pre-tests and post-tests for each unit. There are assessments that you can customize for each of the lesson. The processing, the lesson game, and the interactive student notebook are all formative assessments. And then your summative assessment is your end of the lesson or the end of the unit test. In the lesson games, you can find class trends. So here you can see if students, have been successful in completing. You can look at individual students. You can look at individual classes. So if a whole class, if not one student got this question correct, then you might want to go back and reteach or remediate certain content. But you can look at them per student or per class to make that determination of using the data to drive your curriculum. Students are doing poorly, this might be an example of where you assign the lesson video activity or maybe the lesson outline before you give this summative assessment. So you should know pretty well, based on the TCI resources, how students are going to perform on the summative assessment based on the formative assessments and the notebook questions, the vocabulary games, the lesson games, and the processing assignment. Our assessments for our summative assessments, we create them. So I always show this and then people say, well, don't you have created tests? Yes, all of these questions are already created. You can use our tests and give them out. They are amazing tests. They are very well written. There's always kind of a show what you know, it has multiple choice. There's always a social studies skill. So if in that lesson on the video activity we did on political posters and political media, then that's what the social studies skill is going to be in the summative assessment. And then there is always a product base, very similar to the processing assignment in the notebook, but that allows the students to articulate that they understand the concepts and content, that they really know the vocabulary and the structure of that lesson. However, you don't have to use our assessments. You can create your own. You can use our questions and you can modify them. You can change the answer choices. You can change the questions. You can change the points. You can add images and GIFs. You can tag them and send them off to your professional learning communities or share them with other teachers in your district. You can pull, if you just wanted to give a multiple choice question, you could sort the tasks and pull just the multiple choice questions so that the computer grades it all. You can print these out so you can do old, paper and pen type tests if you want to. So if you use the online assessments, again, you can get those trends that we just talked about to help you determine if you need to go back and remediate or revisit content. When we talk about adding to the student's inquiry project, we're going to provide you with a robust learning library. So all of the videos, not just the ones in that unit, are searchable so the students can go back and watch the videos to help them remember the information that they've learned throughout the unit to add to their inquiry project. There's a games library, like I mentioned. It has dozens of different games that you can pull from, vocabulary and content. We have a robust, I love this biography bank. It's going to represent all ages, all races, people that are still alive, different contributions, different sexes. It's really a well-represented biography to demonstrate how many people have contributed to the history of our country. We have a civics library for dozens of mini civics lessons. So if you're doing National Constitution Week, you have the ability to pull from this civics library. And then we have a primary source library. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into this as a live one. So if you're in primary sources, you can get everything from the Magna Carta to the Federalist paper to a variety of state constitutions. So the robust learning library is really going to give the students an opportunity to pull more information into their inquiry projects. Civics library. We are going to roster and single sign on 100% with your district. So whatever you were using 5 years ago, for those of you that were teaching for 5 years and longer, if you think back 5 years ago, I can promise you whatever system you were using 5 years ago is most not likely not the systems you're using today. So if you are a transition, TCI is committed to making sure that you have your single sign-on and your learning management system. And this is going to be part of the in-app professional development that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. So if you're like, I don't know how it integrates with Canvas or Schoology or Google Classroom, don't worry, we have that in our professional development library. So I think now I can do this, yay, I want you to think about which of the features are you most excited to implement with your students this year or to use as a teacher this year? So are you excited about the teacher guides? Are you excited about the video activities, lesson outlines, your student text features, the Spanish immersion view, the customization and the slide deck and the assessment piece, or your hands-on activities? So go ahead, scan that QR code, go to the link. Or go to menti.com and answer that prompt. And then we'll see where we're at. So we've got 19 people. So we're about half the people. Give you a few more seconds. What I'm super excited about like what I'm seeing is, so of the 40 people that were in here, earlier, we've got 25 people who are saying the video activities and the hands-on activity. And what's great about those is those two things actually work hand in hand. So if you do the hands-on activity in your classroom and then you assign the video activities, the kids are going to get like repeated content information in a different way that the computer can grade. So that gives you back your nights and weekends, and you're getting that data you need to determine what to teach next, or whether you need to remediate or revisit something or reteach something. And so also with the Spanish, you just click that and you can do both of those in the Spanish as well. So I am really excited, although I will say the teacher guides are really awesome. And one of the people that are in my panel group helped to develop there, and they are amazing. I'm excited that you guys are excited about the video activities and hands-on activity, because that's what TCI is about. It's about engaging students with social studies content. So thank you so much for saying that. That makes my whole day. So we are coming up to the end. I'm sure I'm just clicking. We're coming up to the end of our presentation in just a few minutes. It's like we're the trail horses and we can see the barn and we're going to start galloping, but just give me the next 5 minutes and then you guys will have everything that you need. And we're going to share with you the link on how to get the swag. But I want to demonstrate for you, because to truly feel immersed in TCI and to walk into your classrooms in a couple of weeks, that knowing that you are fully supported by TCI and that you are confident that you can do anything that I demonstrated today. And if I were to ask you this question in 6 months, where you feel with TCI, all of you would say, I want your job, Deanna, is through our in-app professional development. So what we're going to do is we're going to go live and I'm going to demonstrate for you where it is and how to sign up for it, or not even sign up for it. It's in your program. So once you log into your TCI license, you're going to see on the purple sidebar, and here I'm just in Pursuing American Ideals. And I'm just in a national program. Everybody has the same program. You can see on the purple sidebar, professional development. Now, I'm going to play this video for you in just a second, but you can see that there's level 100 courses to get you started, and that's getting started and assigning. Each one of these courses, your district can see if you've completed it. It's going to give you a certificate of completion and it's going to give you a badge. You're going to earn series of badges throughout the time that you're using TCI. You can see that assigning and grading takes about 60 to 90 minutes. These are self-paced. Brian's going to explain these to you in just a second, because that's the video I'm going to show. If you're ready for the 200 series, then it's going to talk about how to integrate with your learning management system. And depending on your comfort level with TCI and your learning management system, it's going to take you between 30 and 45 minutes. And then you have your 45 to 75-minute building a cooperative classroom. And again, that's very similar to what Brian presented earlier in the summit today. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to model for you getting started with TCI. My actions right now are only to view the course, but once I've completed the course, I can download my certificate, I can download my badges, or I could restart the course. So here's the deal. Let's say that you're an econ teacher, you take the course now, you get your certificate, you go to school and you're like, oh, I'm teaching government the first semester and I'm not using TCI for government. Then the second semester comes and now you've got econ and you're like, oh, I'm teaching TCI for government. You can restart the course and take it again, just so again, you're feeling confident and supported. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to view this course and it's going to walk you through. This is the course name. This is what you're going to learn. It's self-paced, so it just depends on how familiar you are already. So all of you that have used TCI for years, this isn't going to take you as long as somebody that's brand new to both teaching and to TCI. We click Get Started. I'm going to play this video for you.
Hi, my name's Brian. I'm a former classroom teacher and a professional development manager here at TCI, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course on using and navigating your teacher account. Now, before we get into all the nuts and bolts of how to be able to use the program, and we will, let's take a look at why these powerful tools, when implemented, are going to engage your students. Students in a TCI class are engaged. Classroom activities provide ample opportunities for students to move, collaborate, discuss, debate, and direct their own learning, just like the students that you see here. When students need access to reading, TCI will provide them a rich interactive text with features that will accommodate all learners. As a teacher, you'll have flexible pathways to providing content beyond the classroom activities and reading with video activities, projects, games, assessments, and more. So let's get started on this journey to an engaging class together. I'll teach you all the tools that you have at your disposal through a series of challenges. Now, don't worry, we've broken the challenges up so that it'll be easy to be able to accomplish, and you can get up and walk away and come back as you need because your work saves. Now, when you do a challenge, you're going to be doing 3 things. First, you'll watch a video where I screencast for you how to be able to use features and get the most out of your TCI account. Second, you're going to explore inside your account. See the bullet points here? I'm going to click on this link, Explore. It's going to open up a brand new tab in my browser. Then I'll be able to be in my account, explore the feature that I need to be able to view, and practice what I saw in the screencast, and then close the tab when I'm finished and be back in my course. Third, you'll answer some questions regarding what you just practiced, explored, and watched. Like this here, that's a drag and drop. There may be questions that are multiple choice. You'll get 2 attempts to be able to get it correct before you'll be told what the correct response is. All right, now that we have the steps down, I think it's time for you to go ahead and get started. So if you click the next slide, you'll begin your course, and good luck.
So then you would just click through. It's going to set it up for you. And this is modeled after our video activities. So what you'll see is you'll watch a short little video. He's going to tell you, I think this video is literally short. It's like 10 seconds. But in challenge 1, you're going to learn about your program content and unit openers. It's going to take you 10 or 15 minutes and it's going to auto save. So you can just do this challenge 1 and then do challenge 2 tomorrow or anytime it's at your own pace. But in challenge 1, just like Brian said, you'll do 3 things. Step 1 is you'll watch this video that's probably 2 or 3 minutes long. You'll click your Explore, and this is what I want to model. When you click Explore, it's going to take you to the program that you're in. So then you can explore exactly what he's demonstrating in the video. Then I go back in that tab, and then I answer the questions. Now, I just want to make sure that you want to scroll down and make sure that you submit your answers, because at the end of the course, if you accidentally forget to submit something, it'll give you a warning and say, you forgot to submit question number 2, and you'll have to come back and redo question 2. So that's going to be your professional development. That's going to be added on to what you're doing in today's summit. And with that, I want to make sure that you know that you're supported every step of the way. So sign up for the TCI newsletter. Make sure that you do your in-app professional development. Remember, your district can see that you've done it so that you can get your PD points. And they'll see all of the courses that you've taken, when you've taken it, and when you completed it. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you connect with your Facebook page, because that's intended to be like a peer-to-peer suggestion. Like earlier when Brian was talking about cooperative tolerant classroom or classroom community, and sharing lots of things with you there. You guys had great suggestions. So go to Facebook and you'll get support by your peers. And if you want to try to win a $50 Amazon gift card, if you go to Twitter or Facebook and put @TeachTCI, either Facebook or Twitter, and use the hashtag TCI Summit 23, share one thing that you learned from your favorite session. And if you just write Deanna Morrow, maybe you'll get 2 Amazon gift cards, maybe, just maybe. You'll be entered to win a drawing for the Amazon gift card to 3 lucky winners, and you'll be notified at the beginning of August. So right now in the chat, there is a link, and the link will take you to, is it in the chat? Yep, here's the link, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it over too so you can see it. So I'm clicking the link. You're going to get this feedback form. When you've completed the feedback form, which would take you about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, you are going to get swag. You're going to get a TCI cup. You're going to get your certificate of completion, and you'll be entered to win the iPad. All right. So make sure you get that link, fill in that form. And for those of you that want to stick around, I believe I said I was going to end it at an hour. I'm 4 minutes over, but that's not terrible for me. If you want, yes.
I wanted to come off mute because they had an iPad winner from earlier today.
They did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that was from the other sessions?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think this person is in our group, but if anyone knows her, they said the iPad winner from earlier is Crystal Blomquist.
Crystal Blomquist. Okay.
So I think I looked in our participants. I did not see that name, but if you know who that is, you might want to reach out to her. TCI will be reaching out to them too.
Excellent. So are they giving out one for the end of our session too? I guess we should know that, but.
Yeah, I don't know if I know that answer either.
Okay, that's fine. I suspect that they are.
Yeah.
So they will reach out to you because otherwise they would have taken it off the slide.
Yeah.
Because this is the end slide.
But for sure, go on and fill out that form and get your certificate of attendance and get the cool swag. We always have such cool swag.
I love the cup from last year, and I'm not going to lie, I have more than one. I love it. I'm very excited to get this cup. I know that may seem like it's not true, but ask Loyal, he will tell you. He's never seen me not in a TCI shirt. Well, yeah, so you guys can take yourself off mute if you have specific questions. Once you have that link and you fill that out, I do. I don't know if that's a good thing. I love that tumbler too, the green with the core, like, and it holds stuff hot and cold for so long. You are very welcome, Kara. Thank you guys so much. I know we're ending early. Please don't cry about it. Don't write my boss and be like, Deanna ended 15 minutes early. Deanna gave me back 15 more minutes in my summer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to stick around because I want to make sure if there's anybody, especially if you are one of those teachers that this is your first year or your first time using TCI, or your second to fifth year teacher and this is the first time you're using TCI, I want you to know that I'm here to support you. So we can go back, go live. I can show you anything. I can demonstrate anything. And I'm going to stay in here until every single person exits this meeting by hitting the exit meeting. You're going to get the recording. You'll get an email from our marketing team that will let you know in a couple of days that the video recordings of this will be available for you to watch again, and submit any ideas you have to improve our content. I had some great suggestions this week from some teachers in Seminole County when I was there live in Florida. I'll be in Palm Beach next week. I feel like a comedian, and then the week after that, I'll be in Miami. So your waitresses, make sure you tip them good. You're very welcome, Brittany. Thank you for joining us and spending so much time with us.